eTown Hall in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, it's eTown, with this week's guest from Fort Collins, Colorado, Cary Morin. And from Ottawa, Canada, now living in St. Petersburg, Florida, Kathleen Edwards. I'm Helen Forster. Right now, join me in welcoming our host, Nick Forster.
Thank you, Helen. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to eTown Hall. We've got some good songs from some great singer-songwriters with us this week, both of whom come from the northern climes. Cary Morin is from Montana. He was born in Billings and grew up in Great Falls in that neighborhood. His music is really informed, his songwriting is informed by his experience in the West and, of course, his natural connection with his native communities. His mother is from the Crow Nation, and his father is from the Assiniboine native people, and that's a part of how he sees the world and writes songs about it and reflects that point of view in his writing. And, of course, Kathleen Edwards is Canadian. There's lots of Canadians in the audience, perhaps. Or we just like Canadians because soon they'll be part of the United States. No, Kathleen is great. She's from Ottawa, and as many of you know, she put out a record back in 2002 called Failure, and she came to eTown shortly thereafter for the first time. This is her fourth visit to eTown. The last time was 17 years ago, and that gap is not entirely our fault. I just want you to know. She hit all her marks. She did all the things. She traveled all around the world. She made a bunch of records. She was playing festivals and traveling in a bus and doing all the things that one dreams of doing. And then she had enough, needed a break. So she took a break and opened up a coffee shop called Quitters. But it was a great run, and then she started tiptoeing back into the music world, writing songs and recording, and put a record out just in time for the pandemic. But anyway, she's now back at it. She has relocated down to Florida, as so many do. We're just glad she's here. She's going to play some songs from her latest record and other records. Please welcome back to eTown, as I say, for her fourth visit, Kathleen Edwards.
Thank you. This is Gord Tough, everybody. This is Gord's first time to eTown. We're thrilled to be back. It's nice to see you all.
When I go walking in my neighborhood, I wonder how I even got here. It seems so long since those Hamilton days, the first house we bought together. And the online street view used to crack me up. It was you standing in your slippers. We were on the front porch with the Siamese cat, but it's not up there anymore. I will always be thankful for it. I was so lucky to be under your wing, but I think I went and outgrew him. Now when I find myself looking back, I think of all the cool shit that happened. We had a tour bus with a bed in the back. We bought a rock and roll dream. It was total crap. Still, we toured the world and we played on TV. We met some of our heroes. It almost killed me, and I will always be thankful for it. And I will always be 'cause it was too late when we did. Like you changed too much. You didn't change. Well, I'm sorry for everything. For everything. In early days when we were playing in Kirkland Lake and I was drinking too much whiskey, you always knew how to set me straight, even though I didn't want to hear it. I will always be thankful for it, and I will always be thankful for it, and I will always be thankful for it. Yeah, yeah, I will always be thankful for it. In 2024 was a great year. I made 2 albums, and just today, before coming to eTown, I was finalizing mixes for a second record that I made, and it's strange to start the year doing an album of covers and finish doing a record of your own originals. One of the songs I've enjoyed the most playing is a song of my heroes, a blonde boy from Gainesville. Waiting by the side of the road for a day to break so we could go down into Los Angeles with dirty hands and worn out knees. Ooh, I keep crawling back to you. Ooh, I keep crawling back to you. Surprise. Thought she'd seen the last of him. Well, she shook her head and let him in. Ooh, I keep crawling back to you. Ooh, I keep crawling back to you. Something in your eyes trying to say to me that I'm gonna be alright. drunk and I was sick. Got caught up in a barroom fight till an Indian shot out the light. And I'm so tired of being tired. Sure as night will follow day. Most things that I worry about never happen anyway. Oh, I keep crawling back to you. I keep crawling back to you. Ooh, I keep crawling back to you.
Welcome back, Kathleen. Great to see you. Great to hear you. You know, I mentioned the fact that you achieved so much and then took a breather. And I loved your line where you say, we bought a rock and roll dream and it was total crap.
Yeah. Some days it was. Well, I think, it's that thing where I was sort of unprepared for years of putting myself in a very vulnerable position all the time.
Yeah, I mean, let's be candid. When you're going to write honest, heartfelt songs and then play them for strangers night after night, hoping that they like them and that you're subjecting yourself to their judgment all the time, that's a vulnerable spot.
Yeah, and I started really young. I wasn't like a Disney teenage star or anything, but I went from playing in my local music scene to seeing a lot of things, which is an extraordinary experience, but it's a huge learning curve when you're young.
And, you went through a lot. As you say, you got started early, and next thing you know, you're married and divorced, and life was happening quickly for you. And when you unplugged, you didn't just sit around. Not only did you get not one but two dogs, but you opened a coffee shop.
I did, yeah. Maybe I'm just not very good at sitting still.
Yeah, I think there is actually a deeper connection because, as I understand it, your first gig was working in a coffee shop.
Yeah, it's where I started because in the last few years of my high school, I've been busking in downtown Ottawa, and I just wanted to become part of a music scene. I didn't know if it existed, but that's what I wanted to do. So I got a job as a barista at Starbucks, which was at the time in downtown Ottawa, one of the cool coffee shops that you get a job in. And I loved it. It was a really great place to start my young adult life and had people looking out for me. And then, of course, musicians came into the coffee shop, and that was kind of my launch pad.
But it's a lot of work to run a business, and coffee shops start early in the day.
I don't really still think I'm a morning person, but I really did love sinking my teeth into something and building a place. And it turned into something magical. Like when I opened the coffee shop, it was on a shoestring budget and mostly just money that I had made it playing music. And I went from like 2 employees, and 5 years later, at peak summertime, we were 25 people.
Wow.
In our 5th year, we grossed $1 million in sales. Like it was one of those like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Like there was just a need for it, and we became Town Hall, and it was really special, and I'm really proud of it.
That's really cool. You did close your you sold your coffee shop.
Yes, I did learn that even though I grossed $1 million, I netted negative $100,000. So get out of the coffee business. Yeah.
And then you put a record out just exactly in 2020, which was crazy COVID shutdown times.
Yeah. You know, I had 2 jobs. One was music and one was operating a small food business. And both were like, see you later.
Right.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that you persevered, and now you've got new songs. I know you made a record of covers that's relatively new, and you got another batch of songs percolating. You've migrated to Florida. That's a big step.
Yeah, it's a 3-day drive, actually. It's a big step.
I was surprised when I learned it. I just think of you as so thoroughly Canadian.
Well, I always will be.
Yeah.
You know, Canada has a very strong historical tether to Florida. Lots of us survive winters long enough, and we now call ourselves snowbirds, you know? Yeah.
When you get down there, do you feel like a tourist, or do you feel like a resident now? Are you like involved in your community down there and kind of connected as a person who lives in Florida?
Slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would proceed with caution.
Yeah. Well, I would say, thankfully, I won't be. I love it down there.
Oh, cool.
And what I realized actually through owning the coffee shop was that listening to people and finding out that your perception of what you think they might believe in or what they think is important is actually maybe not true. You just need to listen. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be true about the people I've met in Florida.
Yeah, totally.
I find that to be true about my neighbors in Ottawa. And
Yeah.
I did something for my community. I gave young people jobs, and I got to pay it forward because someone did that for me when I was a young teen. And I know that I gave them an experience that they'll take with their lives and hopefully cherish those years. I have no insecurities about the fact that I've done good work in my community. And if I want to be in Florida and go to the beach in February, I'm going to do that. And my dog's cool with it too.
Listen, I'm not judging you. It was 5 degrees this morning here, so yeah. Well, listen, I'm so glad you came back. It's nice to see you again. It's great to hear some new songs, and let's hear some more music.
Okay,
You're up
thank
for
you.
it?
Thank you, Nick.
Welcome back, Kathleen Edwards.
I picked you up on the other side of the river. Dogs and alcohol, they go so good together. You were so sweet immediately. You just charm me with your skin and bone. Hop in the back seat. Yeah, here we go. Under the little catalpa tree is where I put you, with a rock that says your name that I had made for you. Now my favorite thing to say is who rescued you, who rescued you, who rescued you. I picked up this habit I'm just trying to lose, called courage in a glass, that helps me keep up to you. 'Cause when we walk down the street, oh, well, you know everybody would just stop and say, oh boy, aren't you so sweet? When I felt that too. Under the little catalpa tree is where I put you, with a rock that says your name I had made for ya. Now my favorite thing to say is who rescued you, who rescued you.
you very much.
Kathleen Edwards from Ottawa, now living down in Florida, along with Gord Tough on guitar. Her record is called Total Freedom, and most recently a cover record called Covers. They will be back. Play some more music later on in the show.
Your visit to eTown is made possible in part by the Bohemian Foundation, building stronger communities through the bohemian qualities of creativity and imagination, on the web at bohemianfoundation.org. By the way, if you enjoy watching live music videos, there are over 2,000 such videos on the eTown YouTube channel, where you can subscribe and stay up to date with our past and latest video offerings. You're listening to eTown.
Thank you. I'm Nick Forster. You are listening to eTown. Kathleen Edwards is going to be back along with Gord to play some more music later on in the show. And it was good to catch up. And of course, Cary Morin is coming up in just a little while. I was joking about the U.S. taking over Canada. But let's not forget that we've done that kind of stuff before. We are, in fact, a nation built on greedy land grabs and seizing territory that wasn't ours. And we also bought places we wanted. And, of course, we bought Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million right after the Civil War. That was smart. We bought the Philippines from Spain for $20 million. And the big one, the Louisiana Purchase, that's when we bought 828,000 square miles from France for $15 million back in 1803. That land went from New Orleans all the way up to Canada and included what is now parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Colorado, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana, and even parts of Canada. The thing is that our next guest, Cary Morin, his ancestors were already living up there in Montana and Wyoming and southern Canada and had been there for thousands of years. And I don't think France gave them any of the dough. As I mentioned, Cary Morin was born in Billings, Montana, grew up around Great Falls. He was in bands in high school, and he continues to play either on his own or with his wife, Celeste, or with his band, which is called Ghost Dog. His ancestors include a variety of tribal leaders, like his grandfather Yellowtail, who fought for the Crow Nation really all his life and became the first Native American person to become agency superintendent of a reservation. Anyway, Cary was inspired by a lot of the things around him, including his family, and also the writings and especially the artwork of a guy named Charles M. Russell, who also lived in Great Falls, Montana. So he'll tell you more about that later. Please welcome to eTown for his first visit, Cary Morin.
Hi. This first song is off of this album that we put out a while back. Like Nick said, songs that I wrote about Charles Russell. And this one's about him just writing letters back and forth with his buddies, just talking about life and how things have changed in Montana at that point. I'm sorry, my old friend,
much time has passed before I return your last greeting to me. With no one to say there is a right way and a wrong, we are free to dream the magic up all on our own. Consider yourself invited to have a look, sing along, sit on down and hear this now. This old night heard a song. This old night heard a song. Now wouldn't it be grand, like our brothers who are of this land, if we could ride alone again on the old Montana land? Folks these days can't understand good medicine and the colors of the mountains and the sky. There's innocent eyes looking down from up above, square beauty in the distance, telling tales of bygone days. That's enough to stir the memories, brush up on our history of my own days on the banks of the Missouri, where I learned to tie a knot and sing a song. I suppose I learned to talk with my hands and see the sounds before some open up the doors to let this old house breathe. I believe there's nothing finer than what was here long before you and me and everybody. Now wouldn't it be grand, like our brothers who were of this land, we could ride alone again on the old Montana land? Folks these days can't understand good medicine and the colors of the mountains and the sky. Please remember the pipe is always lit, the road was spread with an open large door, with the best for me and mine, to you and yours. Please remember the pipe is always lit, the road is spread with an open large door, with the best for me and mine, to you and yours. Please remember the pipe is always lit, the road is spread with an open large door, with the best from me and mine, to you and yours. Hard times on us, my days here are done. I'm gonna climb on that train and travel home again. Let the wheels roll on, let me hear that music, my friend. Hard times on us will come to an end. door no more. Let me hear that music again. Will the circle be unbroken and his name remain unspoken? Will the morning prove me better with every passing hour? Our time together may have no end. On you I depend. Let me hear that music inside of you, my friend. Ah, yeah. Hard times darken my door no more. When the day comes, I'll be gone up around the bend. Let me hear that music inside of you, my friend. Let me hear that music again, my friend.
Cary Morin, welcome to eTown. It's funny, we've been around each other, but we haven't really hung out a lot. And I forget what a great guitar player you are. You just got that lovely bounce, ragtime feel. You got all the things going on, the bass line. It's cool. I like it. I mentioned your upbringing in Montana, and I mentioned your grandfather. He was separated from your great-grandmother when he was 4, taken to a boarding school, right?
They pinned a note to his shirt and popped him on the train and sent him to California with his name and what his destination was, because he could not yet speak English, so he had to learn fast.
Wow. Yeah, it's tragic. I mean, it's a chapter that none of us is proud of, but it happened. And he became an educated person. He went to law school eventually in Chicago and went to Washington and lobbied and fought on behalf of Crow Nation, especially, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He essentially taught himself law, but he went to work for the Crow tribe trying to retain our water rights.
So I'm just trying to imagine when you were growing, because your dad was in the military, so you moved around a little bit, but you were near traditional tribal lands. And did you grow up with some of that tradition in your household, in your family?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
His house was a house that he had built on the Little Bighorn River, and it was about 3 hours from our house in Great Falls. So we were there all the time.
What about the traditional language? Did you get any of that?
My mom tried to teach me when I was a child,
Yeah.
and I could not get the hang of it. It didn't do it for me. And her and the other grandmas would always talk about us in Crow.
And you went to the Charles Russell High School, a painter from St. Louis who moves to Montana and becomes world-renowned, and then the high school gets named after him. So it's cool that the sort of famous person in your town was an artist.
He wanted to build a log cabin, but the closest he got was a cabin built out of telephone poles. It looks pretty
That's
nice.
folk art, yeah.
Yeah. So it's still there. It's a museum now. And
Did your grandfather know him?
I've always wondered that. We've had that discussion.
Yeah.
Because they were both pretty well-known guys in the state at the
Yeah.
same time. So
Yeah.
they had to be in the same room at the same time at
Yeah.
some point.
Well, seeing that some of his paintings are now selling for like $5 million, maybe there's something in your grandfather's closet somewhere.
You know, when I grew up, I remember walking into his house, and there was always this painting called Indian Hunter's Return. And it's a depiction of native guys coming back after a hunt and distributing food in the camp. But that's why I wrote a song about that painting, because it was always there all my life.
That's so cool. You know, you've won a ton of awards from a variety of different sources for all kinds of things, blues music awards and indigenous music awards, and played in lots of different countries. You played at the Kennedy Center. Maybe you're one of the last people to play at the Kennedy Center.
Thank you. I played there twice.
And I know that we have a mutual friend in David Bromberg who's a huge fan of yours.
He always made time for us. If we were on the East Coast, he'd say, come stay at our house. We'll go see a show. He'd get up in the morning and he's like, what are you doing today? Well, you know, I'm hanging out with you. And he's like, let's go over to the Philly Folk Festival. That's going on. I'll get you on stage. And I'm like, you can't just do that, you know? People have been booked to be at this festival for like a year, you know? And sure enough, we drive over there and we get out in the parking lot and people are falling over each other. Oh my Lord, it's David Bromberg and this guy. And he found out there was a stage that they could put me on, so him and I got up and did a show at the Philly Folk Festival.
Nice. Just to give you a little career advice, David Bromberg mastered the art of retiring multiple times. I can tell you, because I was there, my band played in 1980 at the Philadelphia Folk Festival, just before his farewell show when he was retiring 45 years ago. So he's milked it, and he's done well.
Well, he's going to listen to this on the radio.
Yeah, he's going to hear it. He knows I'm not making it up. Well, listen, we've got lots more music to get to, and it's just great to hang out and get to know you a little better. And let's listen to some more songs.
Thanks, man.
All right. Welcome back, Cary Morin, now living in Fort Collins.
This is surreal. I listen to this on the radio all the time. I never imagined I'd be standing here talking to that guy.
Well, the sun goes down, be all my view. Down behind the mountains, I'll observe changing hue from the foothills where I reside. The glow around the rock they call the horse-tooth darkens, like paper torn and pasted against the sky with grace and ease. The locals drive home with all things considered, evidence of my daily victories. My stain of find a shape I've come to trust and recognize. As the watercolor drains from the horizon, I describe, and my thoughts begin to freeze and float away on a September breeze. Evidence of my daily victory. Trusting one another, sisters and brothers, says the moon, our eldest mother, in the sky tonight. Trusting one another, sisters and brothers, says the moon, our eldest mother, in the sky tonight. yet it can be deafening. I can see from any distance I'm becoming of a man to place himself above the members of a nation. Yet in my reckoning, I wanna be the best at what I do. Learn about humanity at every opportunity, as if you and I could walk side by side down Lily Avenue. Evidence of my daily victories. My eyes stay to find the shade. I've come to trust and recognize. As the watercolor drains from the horizon, I describe, and my thoughts begin to freeze, float away on September breeze. Evidence of my daily victories. Trusted one another, sisters and brothers, says the moon, our eldest mother, in the sky tonight. Trusted one another, sisters and brothers, says the moon, our eldest mother, in the sky tonight. Trusted one another, sisters and brothers, says the moon, our eldest mother, in the sky.
That's Cary Morin from Fort Collins, Colorado. Latest record is called Innocent Allies, along with Celeste on backup vocals, along with the eTones, Christian Teal, Adam Bodine, Eric Tureen, Helen Forster, Cary Morin.
Your visit to eTown is made possible in part by the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, or SCFD, one of the largest cultural funding mechanisms in the United States, supporting nearly 300 organizations in the greater Denver, Colorado area. You're listening to eTown.
Thanks to Cary Morin for coming in, playing those songs. That was really great. So great that he's here. Kathleen Edwards is about to come out. You know, we've been vaguely political, just talking about land acquisition and buying other countries and stuff like that. The point of that is not that we want to be especially political, but we have been focused for more than 30 years on things that are about community and the environment and things like that. So we do believe in stuff like science and the rule of law and the Constitution, stuff like that. We like it. We like it. And we're not weird. This has been actually just to reassure ourselves that we weren't nuts. I actually started a while ago to assemble some quotes from past presidents, just to know that these are people who are inspired and passionate, and we can be reassured by the fact that their words are meaningful still. Here's George Washington. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. Here's James Madison. The truth is that all men having power ought to be mistrusted. That's the 4th president. The 9th president, you don't hear about him much, William Henry Harrison. He said, these capitalists generally act harmoniously and in concert to fleece the people. And now that they've got into a quarrel with themselves, we are called upon to appropriate the people's money to settle that quarrel. Franklin Pierce, another guy, kind of dropped below the radar, right? The storm of frenzy and faction must inevitably dash itself in vain against the unshaken rock of the Constitution. That's pretty good. And now we migrate chronologically. We're up to Abraham Lincoln now. Were I president, I should desire the legislation of the country to rest with Congress, uninfluenced by the executive in its origin or progress. This is a good one from Lincoln. Honestly, if I were two-faced, would I be showing you this one? Here's another good one. When the know-nothings get control, it will read, all men are created equal, except Negroes and foreigners and Catholics. When it comes to this, I should prefer emigrating to some country where they make no pretense of loving liberty. To Russia, for instance, where despotism can be taken pure and without the base alloy of hypocrisy. Lincoln. And this is right after he got elected. He said, in all our rejoicing, let us neither express nor cherish any harsh feeling towards any citizen who, by his vote, has differed with us. Let us at all times remember that all American citizens are brothers of a common country and should dwell together in the bonds of fraternal feeling. Teddy Roosevelt said, to announce that there must be no criticism of the president or that we are to stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but it's morally treasonable to the American public. All right. Meanwhile, we are part of a different kind of community that's come together around a shared set of values and a love of good music. So thanks for being here, and would you please help me welcome back to the stage Kathleen Edwards.
This is a song called Asking for Flowers.
It's complicated. Technically, I'm certified, a walking declaration of everything I couldn't get right. Time is just an anchor. For 7 years, I think I'm right. Now you change your number. It's like a noose around my life. Every pill I took in vain, every meal for you I made, every penny I put away. Oh, asking for flowers is like asking you to be nice. Don't tell me you're too tired. 10 years I've been working nights. My life is like a picture Left out too long in the sun, and now I'm trying to remember all the faces, all the names I've loved. 'Cause all that's left of me now is just a cigarette burning bright and a fading memory of all the things I try to get right. Like every pill I took in vain, every meal for you I made, every plan I tried to make. Oh, asking for flowers is like asking you to be nice. Don't tell me you're too tired. 10 years I've been working nights. Asking you to be nice. Don't tell me you're too tired. 10 years I've been working nights. Don't tell me you're too tired. 10 years I've been working nights.
Thank you. It's lovely to play for you tonight.
Kathleen Edwards, along with Gord Tough. The record is called Total Freedom, and then another one called Covers. There's another one coming. Good songs. We've got time for one more. I want to thank everybody for being on the show. Thanks again to Kathleen Edwards and Gord Tough. Kathleen now coming up from Florida instead of Canada. Thanks to the eTones and to Helen Forster, the hardworking house band. Thanks to Cary Morin, his wife Celeste Di Iorio, coming down from Fort Collins. Thanks to our crew, our volunteers, our engineers, all the people who work hard to make the show happen. We have one more song for you. These guys figured it out this afternoon, worked it up, and hope you enjoy it. I'm Nick Forster. Hope you can be with us next week right here in eTown.
Comes a time when you're drifting. Comes a time when you settle down. Arms there comes a time. You and I, we were captured. We took our souls and we flew away. We were right. We were giving. That's how we kept what we gave away. Oh, this whole world keeps spinning round. It's a wonder tall trees ain't laying down. There comes a time. There comes a time.
This is a production of eTown.